We are in a position of rewriting this planet from the ground up. What I would argue is the largest era of mass institutional shift in the history of our species. The manufacturing sector was really historically the last great kind of era of rewriting. The Industrial Revolution was really what ended up creating a rewritten world. That was the last era of mass significant change. And here we are on this new precipice. This isn't about an industrial revolution. It isn't about incremental change. It is about a fundamental resetting of this planet's operating system. So it's really intriguing to look at now as we move into this next rewrite, asking the deep questions about, does manufacturing stay relevant in an economy like this? Do we change how it's done? That's one of the reasons we wanted to look at that sector. Imagine a world where you can order the parts of your home, printed on demand. Imagine being able to produce artificial limbs at a fraction of the cost of what we see today.
I'm Scott Crump, and I'm the Chief Innovation Officer here at Precipice Limited. We make three-dimensional printing systems. We also build a significant amount of parts, both in plastic as well as metal. Today, you can print anything that you can design, medical, jewelry, or in the art field. If you have that geometry in a three-dimensional file, today you can print it. You do the design, and the same day you press the button, and either same day or next morning, you get the 3D printed part out. All of the major industries globally now are using 3D printing. In the auto industry, the customer can either select or actually design the custom option that he wants. It is 3D printed, so the customer is actually helping to design part of that car. Other industries, though, for instance, our partnership with Toshiba, doing CT scan outputs in full color of CT scanned organs, I believe that's a major game changer. The doctor can do pre-operative surgery planning on a real accurate facsimile before going into the operating room.
Stratasys is changing manufacturing because it brings the very factory floor down to bite-size economics, allowing for quick builds at exact scale and replication that would have taken 10 times the cost and time only a decade ago.
When you typically think about metals manufacturing, you think about these huge ladles of red-hot molten metal and sparks flying everywhere and a billion-dollar facility. And what you're looking at here is a metals manufacturing facility that's very low cost.
In Chapter 1, we covered Modumetal as a rewrite from a technology standpoint. In this chapter, we explore Modumetal's rewrite of industrial manufacturing as they defy the limitations of materials at an industrial scale.
What we are doing is very similar to what Charles Martin Hall did for the industry of aluminum manufacturing in the turn of the century. An electrolytic manufacturing process that reduced the cost of making aluminum by 200 times. What Modumetal's doing today is delivering nanolaminated alloys for industrial scale applications at a cost that can be competitive with conventional metals manufacturing. And that is the real breakthrough. So what we're looking at here is production tubular, and we're modulating the electric field. That's what these bus bars are. And we're growing metal on the surface of that tubular as the tubular turns. It allows us to control the structure of a material as the material grows. We actually don't use heat. We're manufacturing metal in plastic tanks using electricity as the input form of energy. And the metals we produce are not like conventional metals. They are layered metals, and they're layered on the nanometer scale.
A very, very different paradigm. It's going to impact the entire world, including transportation, housing, how quickly we can innovate the building of new product, and the environment. Imagine a world where buildings and bridges can last for centuries, where building materials are nearly infinite.
We're going to rewrite this industry across the board.
Oh my God, we have so much fun with robots. Some days, I'm not even sure if people know how to walk. They ride robots so much. I'm Melanie Wise, and I'm the CEO of Fetch Robotics. We're changing the way people work. Our robots are with you all day, helping you do your job, and they come with you and they follow you, and that makes a big difference.
They have the ability to produce a symbiotic relationship between humans and robots. They are deeply impacting manufacturing.
This could be anything from moving goods in the traditional sense for like e-commerce when you buy something online, to moving goods in a facility for assembly, to an inventory robot that looks at inventory and finds inventory within a warehouse. What we're trying to achieve is getting robots out of the cage and really working side by side with people to do collaborative work, business cases that would have a use for a virtual conveyor. You know how you have real conveyor? Physical conveyor? Well, now you don't need to buy that conveyor. They act as conveyor systems.
They're rewriting the whole sector by simply rewriting human form and interaction. They're creating factories that can produce more at less cost with fewer mistakes. It's a massive scale up in efficiencies. So we should also be asking ourselves not just about how this impacts business, but what the age of rewriting is going to mean to just the average person living on this planet. I think the message is, it is necessary for us to start thinking differently. Thinking in the same paradigm around innovation is missing the point that there is something much more elemental going on here. The goal for me is to up the dialogue a little bit, to move past and argue we've outgrown innovation and start to think about the more holistic, deep changes, and to create a roadmap for people to start thinking about this rewrite in a very different way.